partnership with the Early Childhood Investment Corporation, the Gogebic Ontonagon County's Great Start Collaborative and Great Start Parent Coalition were formed in October 2008. Community stakeholders created a comprehensive strategic plan to address the issues of poverty, high Medicaid use, quality child care, and preschool. The major challenges are a continued poor economy and unemployment, a declining population, and lack of funding to sustain key programs. The plan calls for all kids to have access to health care, including mental, behavioral, dental, and nutritional. Children to be physically healthy and grow up in a clean, healthy environment. Arrive at school socially and emotionally healthy. Increase access to existing early childhood opportunities. Assure the meaningful engagement of parents of kids under age 12 in Great Start leadership roles. And ensure that all parents have access to community resources to meet their basic needs.
The Great Start Collaborative is a group of people that are so dedicated to what they do. We can honestly say at our library, we're all about collaboration and working with groups. This group has been amazing as far as promoting what they believe is important, and again, that's early childhood health and literacy. Where there's an issue, they address it. Where there's a problem, they try to solve it. We've been just fortunate to be able to work with them on that and to be able to see the results that they're getting from their efforts here in the community and across the state.
They have to be ready, because if we don't do our job before they get to school, they are going to flounder when they get to school because they don't know how to listen to directions. They need to be able to learn some skills, manners, working together, and just to be a friend to people. Because once they go to school, they're just forced into a world that is so competitive, and they push them so far. If I don't do my job, I'm afraid my children will fail.
Because there are so few services in our rural area, we need government funding to fill in for those services that are lacking in the private sector here. There are few areas to refer children with needs to. We have few mental health services. We have few health services for these children. So our families depend on the public sector to provide those, to fill in the gaps.
Why invest in early childhood? Each year, too many Michigan children, as many as 1 in 3 according to a recent survey, enter kindergarten not ready to learn. Some have health problems. Others have social, emotional, developmental, or learning disabilities. For these kids, not being ready for school becomes a lifelong sentence of poor academic achievement, diminished expectations, and limited opportunities. Thankfully, the negative impact of most of these problems can be minimized or even eliminated with early identification and intervention.
A lot of research shows that ages 0 to 1 is the time when you need to do some intervening. And with these programs, parents become more aware of what we have available. They become aware that their children may even have a problem that they're not even aware of. If it's the first child, they might not even be aware of the disability surfacing or the disability being there, because they have nothing to compare it to. With these programs, with these early childhood programs, they can get into play groups and see their children interacting with others. And from there, we get referrals from teachers who are running these programs or other people who are involved in the programs.
So the need right now is being met, but looking at how it's going to impact our future isn't always something that is seen as important, because they want to meet the immediate need of the families, and not looking that if they provide prevention for some families, they wouldn't need services down the road. So we'd save money in the long run, but you know, when you have a limited pot of money, you try to serve the most immediate need first.
There are some programs addressing some of these needs, but access, capacity, and quality varies greatly. Past efforts to coordinate state government early childhood programs and build partnerships with the private sector have been difficult to sustain and have achieved limited success. Is there an answer?
It's nice to see the parents that want to get involved, and you go into the public school or you go to a community event, you go somewhere and you see our former parents. They're taking the lead, they're working in the PTO organizations, they're out volunteering, they're out there getting involved, and it's so nice to see that and see the kids and they remember you and say, I know you from Head Start, and we give them that basis to build from, and when we see things like that, it just makes our job worthwhile.
just a lot of collaboration. Again, it just comes down to, all meshing together, all the services coming together, providing the best for the children and the families.
Once the parents feel they realize their importance in this process, they really jump on board, and we can really push forward with the work and their involvement. And when we reach successes locally, we've started some small activities for parents, and they can feel that their needs are being met, and then greater things begin to happen.
What we're doing to the children through the school system, I think, is, from when I went to school, maybe when you went to school too, is things are a lot more structured and forced on kids. The learning curve is a lot higher, the standards are. But what with the early programs, it's more of a socialization and a developmental skills. It's not pushing anything earlier down their throats. It's just mostly getting their brains to function and able to accept later on in kindergarten. Because if they're just learning social skills in kindergarten, then they're already behind, because some of the kids that have gone through the program, they don't have to worry about that. They know how to communicate and talk, or they're more apt to meet with other kids. They're not gonna have to worry about that aspect. They can go right to learning and being educated. So it's interesting. And I substitute teach, so I get to see, I substitute kindergarten all the way through high school, special education. So I get to interact with my children and see other kids, and you can see these kids that have had the interaction through these programs, how different they act and react to stuff, their behavior, everything. It helps.
We're on the way, but need your support. The Great Start Collaborative has 30 community leaders from public and private agencies, as well as parents, analyzing data on the birth to 5 population in the 2 counties. After 2 years of work, a comprehensive 3-year strategic plan was developed, and implementation includes these priorities: increasing awareness and knowledge of social and emotional development to parents, caregivers, professionals, and service providers. Increase early literacy skills through a coordinated early literacy assessment for all preschool children. Improve access and understanding of early childhood services and programs. Creating 2 laptop kiosks, 1 in each county, with directories of local human services and updating them. Increase awareness and understanding of early childhood education. Increase in-kind and cash match donations, improve access and coordination of services for parents, and involve more parents to participate in the GSC.
Typically, I think that the adults need to take the responsibility and kind of set the stage for their success, and we can model their expectations or our expectations for them, but then we also need to pull together and give them the resources they need and make sure that we're addressing their physical needs, their emotional needs, and their educational needs.
I think it's easier when there is the whole family involved, and I think sometimes single parent gets overwhelmed by knowing what to do. And all these groups, this Great Starts Collaborative and all the things that they do provides knowledge for the parents, as well as socializing and education for the children.
Primarily, you're trying to catch the situation early. A court is an intervention, but by the time we receive kids, for instance, in delinquency cases, they're 12 and 13. Sometimes they're as young as 7 or 8, but even then, you're significantly beyond the 0 to 3 developmental years. And all the research, as this whole program is dwelling on, bears out that those are critical years. So to catch it at that early stage of critical development is, cutting it off at the pass before we have double the amount of years of negative influences and physical and emotional and mental influences that eventually result in it coming to court.
Children who start behind stay behind. Children who are held back in school are more likely to drop out long term. Children who drop out are at significant risks of becoming victims or instigators of criminal behavior. Chronic physical and mental health issues left untreated often result in higher health care and/or special education costs. The research is clear. Getting kids off to a great start is just common sense.
The goal is that all children are ready and they're able to succeed, and they have everything that they need in order to succeed, and parents have everything they need to make their child grow up great.
I want my children to have all the opportunity that's available to them. So, and I think it's important for their future success when they're adults. And that's what I'm trying to raise our two boys who are good community members, are successful, can manage themselves, and I guess in general be good boys.
It's both the right thing and the smart thing to do. Together, let's make a difference for our children and our communities.